Marvel versus DC, DC versus Marvel. It is a battle amongst the clans of movie fans that's been going on for well over a decade now, especially once the properties came to the big screen. I mean, that's been going on for decades and decades and decades in the comic books, especially when it's come on screen. Now, it's fair to say, it doesn't matter which side you're on, it is fair to say that in round one, the first 12 years of the Marvel versus DC, DC versus Marvel battle that's been on the big screen, Marvel wins by technical knockout. And that is part of the reason why DC is now entering into a phase where James Gunn is rebooting. James Gunn and Peter Safran are rebooting the DC universe. Now, look, there's been a lot of people that have decried the idea that James Gunn is rebooting the universe, saying there's no need, just to stick with the whole timeline and everything that we had, the Snyderverse, as some people call it, just stick with that. But here's the problem. Sometimes we as movie fans, and I especially in this particular circumstances, we as movie fans have to be comfortable with and acknowledge that other people may not like the things that we like, or may not like them to the degree that we like them. A good example of that is the DC films that we've had, specifically the DCEU, as it has been called. I have liked every single one of the DCU movies, save two. All right, and those two are Wonder Woman in 1984 and The Birds of Prey, the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Those are the only two DC movies I haven't liked. But right from the day that the DCEU as we know it started, with the magnificent, most underrated comic book movie of all time, Man of Steel. Still one of my favorite comic book movies ever. Zack Snyder's magnum opus as far as I'm concerned. I've had to realize that, hey, the big chunk of the movie going public do not share my enthusiasm. I still to this day can't bring up how much I love Man of Steel without having my comment section flooded with Man of Steel sucks all the time. And that's, you know what? That's fine. It's cool. Movies are subjective. But the reality is that, and large, the DCU was never able to really get its footing and capture the hearts, capture the attention, and capture the wallets of filmgoers the way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has. It just hasn't. And I've been trying to tell my fellow fans of DC films that, listen, as much as I love Henry as Superman, as much as I love a lot of the different DCU movies, this is a franchise that needs, not should, it needs to restart if it's going to get anywhere, because what they were doing simply never lived up to its potential. And I think most of us can agree that it never did live up to its potential. But there's one specific stat. You know me, I'm a sports guy. I like stats. I like facts. I like numbers, right? But there's one specific stat that really highlights the fact that if DC is going to create a film franchise that can live up to its potential and rival that of their, competitors across town at Marvel, they have to reboot. And that stat is this. We're going to take a second here and look at the top 10 all-time grossing MCU movies. And then we're going to see how that compares to the top 10 all-time grossing DCEU movies. And there's a real interesting fact in here I want to point out. Let's start with this list. This is the top 10 MCU movies. First of all, every single movie in the top 10 is a billion-dollar film. So, you had Captain Marvel at number 10 that made $1.128 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home that made $1.132 billion. Captain America Civil War at $1.15 billion. Iron Man 3 at $1.2 billion. Black Panther at $1.3 billion. Spider-Man No Way Home at $1.9 billion. Avengers Age of Ultron at $1.4 billion. The Avengers at $1.5 billion. Avengers Infinity War at the number 2 spot at $2.0 billion. And at number 1 on the list, and I believe the second highest grossing movie of all time, Avengers Endgame at $2.79 billion. Every single one of them. Now, to juxtapose, let's look at the top 10 grossing. Remember, when we talk about box office, we're not just talking about the money that the studio gets. Box office tells us a lot of stuff. It tells us what was the audience interested in. What movies motivated the audience to want to go to the movie theater and watch it? Which movies did people want to go back again and again to pay for a ticket again and again? Which movies motivated audiences to tell their friends about it and bring them out to the thing? The box office tells us what trends are working, what marketing campaigns are working, what kind of movies, and how is a franchise doing with an audience. So let's go over and take a look at the DC ones and compare them side by side. At number 10, James Gunn's Suicide Squad at $168.7 million. I want us to compare that to the MCU's number 10 movie. MCU's number 10 movie is $1.1 billion with Captain America. The DCU's number 10 movie is Suicide Squad with $168 million. At number 9, Birds of Prey with $205 million. Juxtapose that against Marvel's number 9 all-time movie, which is Spider-Man Far From Home at $1.1 billion. Shazam at number 8 at $366 million. Black Adam at number 7 at $392 million. Justice League at number 6 at $657 million. Man of Steel, my beloved Man of Steel, at number 5 at $668 million. The first Suicide Squad movie at $746 million. Wonder Woman, the first one, at $822 million. Batman versus Superman at $873 million. And Aquaman, the number 1 DC box office movie, DCEU box office movie of all time at $1.148 billion, I should say. I want to point something out. Batman versus Superman, the number 2 movie all time of the DCEU box office list, would not even be on Marvel's top 10. Let me say that again. Batman versus Superman, the number 2 grossing all-time worldwide DCEU movie, at number 2, would not even be on Marvel's top 10. As a matter of fact, the number 1 DCEU movie, a movie I quite enjoy, Aquaman, making $1.14 billion, would only get onto Marvel's list in the number 9 spot. That's it. And you know, it's funny, we've said this a lot before, but Batman versus Superman, that is a movie that should have made $2 billion. Well, first of all, it should have made $1 billion in its sleep. But a movie called Batman versus Superman should have had the potential to be a $2 billion film. What's the point of this? When we bring up this list and look at them side by side again, if you need more empirical data that just tells us, look, the audience had given up and the audience never really fully got on board with the DCU as it was. It doesn't matter that John Campea liked these movies. It doesn't matter that John Campea liked Aquaman and Batman versus Superman and Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad. Yes, I like Suicide Squad. I don't care if you didn't. It doesn't matter that I love Man of Steel and that I like Justice League and that I liked Black Adam, that I liked Shazam, and I didn't like Birds of Prey, or that I loved James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Doesn't matter. That's besides the point. The numbers do not lie. The audience never embraced the DCU like the way they embraced the MCU. Now some people will say, well, because I had this debate online this morning. Some people say, well, that's because the Marvel films are made for kids. For the kids. So of course they're making more money because the kiddies are coming. Here's the thing. Go look up the stats. Go look at them. The MCU movies have all outperformed the DCU movies in every age demographic. Go look them up. In every single age demo. The Marvel Cinematic Universe's films had consistently outperformed the DCEU films. So don't throw that. These ones are made for kids. And besides, if that was an argument, then Joker shouldn't have made $1 billion. That certainly wasn't made for kids, and it could make $1 billion. Look, the point is this. When you look at these numbers side by side, and you realize that the number 1 DCU movie would only be at number 9, and by the way, the bottom 5 MCU movies, the bottom 5, would all be on DCEU's top 10. In terms of audiences going out to see them. If you believe that they should just keep going, just keep doing these movies just as they are, keep this universe going just as it is, then I got to say that is a naive viewpoint. It is beyond a shadow of a doubt. It is beyond debate at this point that the MCU needs to reboot. And that's what they're going to do in 2025. And if you really need an explanation point on that, look what just happened with The Flash, a really good DCEU movie. And it could only scrounge up $55 million on its opening weekend.
Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Think about it. The person you were 5 years ago is not the exact person that you are today. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. And guys, striving for better mental health is something we should all aspire to. I've talked about this before, but when somebody goes to the gym, we applaud them for getting out there to improve their physical health. Well, it's about time that we start looking at mental health the same way, not just by encouraging the people around us to look into therapy, but by also taking the step to take care of our own mental health as well. So listen, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a short questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you like me, somebody who's really appreciated the DCU up until now, with the exception of one or two movies, but you realize, hey, listen, it was good, but it's time to reboot. We need DC to start having a film franchise that can live up to its potential and actually be competitive with the product that the MCU is putting out. Maybe you think it's better than the MCU. That's cool too, but do you acknowledge the reality of the numbers? Whatever you guys think or feel about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, but more importantly, make sure you subscribe to our daily podcast, the John Campea Show podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and your favorite podcasting app of choice.